Well, welcome to the 700 Club. Republicans officially take control of Congress today, and surprise, the GOP is already fighting. The party can't agree on a leader to be Speaker of the House.
That means Kevin McCarthy could become the first nominee for Speaker in 100 years to fail to win in the first round of voting. Matt Gelka brings us the story from Washington.
The 118th Congress is already full of intrigue. A Republican battle over who ends up being House Speaker could end up shaping just what exactly both chambers end up getting done.
It doesn't matter whether we have a 30-seat majority or a 5-seat majority. We get the same size gavel, but we're going to use it in the manner that the American public wants us to.
Republican leader Kevin McCarthy hasn't locked up the votes quite yet to grab that Speaker's gavel. Fellow Republican Andy Biggs is challenging him, and some members, like Matt Gaetz, won't back McCarthy.
I wish that every single person held the views that you and I frequently hold about the need to transform Congress, but sometimes you have to make even members of your own team a little uncomfortable.
McCarthy has been planning for the role by laying the groundwork for an ambitious Republican House agenda focusing on investigations into a variety of Biden administration issues. Those include the business deals of the president's son, Hunter Biden, COVID-19 origins, as well as a committee focusing on competition with China. That effort would be headed up by Wisconsin Republican Mike Gallagher.
The most important thing we want to do as with this new select committee is make this a bipartisan effort. Speaker-elect McCarthy wants the Democrats to participate in this. He wants this to be serious. And to the extent possible, we want to identify where Congress can speak with one voice when it comes to the policy that best positions us to win this long-term competition with the CCP.
Another renewed focus will be on America's southern border. House Republicans unveiled sweeping proposals before the holiday break.
You cannot encounter and release. You must be able to detain and or turn away in order to stop the flow that is devastating lives. That's how you actually secure a border, is to enforce those policies.
Some of the agenda could hinge on whether or not McCarthy gets the votes for House Speaker. There's also a potential issue of how much he would work with GOP senators. Congress passed a $1.7 trillion omnibus spending bill as 18 Republican senators joined Democrats to pass it. Before the vote, McCarthy warned those GOP senators that their bills would be, quote, dead on arrival in the House if they voted for the spending plan.
The appropriations process has failed the American public, and there's no greater example of the nail in the coffin of the greatest failure of a one-party rule of the House, the Senate, and the presidency of this bill here.
One other thing to watch will be how the new House GOP handles the scandal surrounding new member George Santos. The New York Republican admitted to lying about multiple parts of his resume, including significant parts of his work, family, and education history. He told Fox News his history was debatable.
We can debate my resume and how I worked with firms such as Goldman and Citigroup.
Is it debatable or is it just false?
No,
is
it's
it debatable
or
is it just debatable?
The full House is scheduled to vote for a new House Speaker on the first day the new Congress is seated. McCarthy, or whoever ends up winning, would need 218 votes. The House Speaker vote has not gone on to a second ballot in more than a century. Matt Gelka, CBN News.
Well, today will be history making, and you look at it and you go, well, are Republicans actually trying to govern the nation? Are they actually trying to put forward an agenda? Or are they so worried about some kind of ideological purity they can't even agree on who should lead them as they try to govern? This is going to play out, and unfortunately, it will play out to the detriment of all Americans. If they can't unify to actually govern and elect a speaker, well, then the government gets put on hold because you have no committee chairs. You can't advance any single piece of legislation until this can get solved. So I hope they do it quickly because we all need it. In other news, people across the country are now praying for an NFL player. It's Damar Hamlin. He collapsed on the field during last night's game on national television. Ephraim Graham has the story from the CBN newsroom. Ephraim?
Gordon, in what some have called a terrifying scene, Buffalo Bills defensive back Damar Hamlin collapsed after making a tackle during the game against the Bengals in Cincinnati. Emergency responders administered CPR on the field, and the game was postponed after Hamlin was taken away in an ambulance. As Caitlin Burke reports, athletes and fans are praying for the NFL star.
24-year-old Bills defensive back Damar Hamlin is in critical condition after reportedly suffering cardiac arrest during the game Monday night. His doctors say the next 12 to 24 hours are critical. So as his team, fans, and other supporters wait for more news, they're praying. Hamlin went down after tackling Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins, the Bengals player appearing to hit Hamlin in the chest. Hamlin initially jumping back up, but then he collapsed. According to an overnight statement from the Bills, the CPR performed on the field was able to restart Hamlin's heart.
CPR, or cardiopulmonary resuscitation, is the action of pushing on the chest in a rhythmic fashion to generate blood flow. And it's only done for one thing and one thing alone, which is cardiac arrest.
As the ambulance rushing Hamlin to the hospital was still leaving the field, players hit their knees in a prayer circle. Another prayer circle of fans forming outside of UC Medical Center where Hamlin was taken. Bills offensive lineman Deion Dawkins took to Twitter, writing, "Prayer is powerful. We need the world to pray." Thousands commenting to that post alone. T. Higgins also tweeting out a message to Hamlin, writing, "My prayers and thoughts go out to the Hamlin family. I'm praying that you pull through." The Bills posting this montage of more prayer flooding in online. Fans have also been donating to causes Hamlin cared about as they wait to hear more about his condition. He recently posted to raise money for a toy drive. That site had a $2,500 goal, overnight quickly topping millions of dollars.
Doctors say a key factor in Hamlin's recovery will be the length of time he was on the field with no cardiac activity. A quote from Hamlin himself from his college football days at Pittsburgh, ringing true for this situation as well. He said, "My faith is in God, so whatever he has planned for me, that'll be it." Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Turning now to another story that's been in the headlines. The suspect in the murders of 4 college students is not expected to fight extradition at a hearing today in Pennsylvania, where he was captured at his parents' home. That would mean Bryan Kohberger would return to Idaho to face first-degree murder charges. His attorney, the Monroe County Chief Public Defender, says Kohberger is eager to be exonerated and that he should not be tried in the court of public opinion. But police believe Kohberger is the murderer. Law enforcement reportedly used DNA through public genealogy databases to track him down.